And now I am vindicated, proving once and for all it's not me choosing these weird movies. For this, you have no one to blame but yourself. Hello everyone. If you're watching this, then congratulations are in order. You've once again survived another week of quarantine. I'm so proud. Not only because you've skirted this rapidly progressing illness, but because you made it all the way through a movie called The Lobster that didn't feature a single crustacean. This week we used the app Rave Watch Together so that we could all watch together. The suggestion came to us from a friend of mine named Chris Fry, who enjoys movies to a normal degree but has since turned his intelligence into something a little more useful. Burn! 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 Chris, thank you, I love you, and blah blah blah, let's get on with The Lobster.
Go on with the chlorophyll!
So after conducting literal minutes of research on this movie, I came to realize a few things. For one, our palpable sense of confusion was the actual intent of the director. When asked about the idea behind the film, Yorgos Lanthimos says,
this time around we just wanted to do something about relationships and love and, ask questions about those things. And we slowly try to develop a structure that would explore those themes.
His intent was always to explore and ask questions about romantic relationships. In that respect, the film was kind of experimental, or even, dare I say, artsy. The narrative wasn't super compelling or flashy in any way. What shined here was the premise, the dialogue, and the acting. The characters were weirdly upfront. There wasn't much depth to what they were saying when they were saying it. As Shell Curry put it, it sounds like conversations between two third graders.
Hello.
The swimsuit is very nice.
Thank you very much.
I love breaststroke.
Breaststroke is great. It's excellent exercise for the back.
It's hard to argue with her, but even in spite of their awkwardly upfront manner of speaking, these people still found it difficult to find and maintain relationships, by no fault of their own. We often think that open and honest communication is a gateway to healthy relationships. The movie seems to be challenging that here. It also explores the importance of external and circumstantial factors in romance. Without authoritative rules, for example, the love story between our two protagonists might not have blossomed, as she so eloquently describes their first chance encounter.
In my sleep, I dreamt that we lived in a big house together in the city with a large, well-lit kitchen, and I was wearing dark blue trousers and a tight cream blouse, and he took my clothes off and fucked me up the ass.
I think that's something all of us can relate to at one point or another. Right, Ian? So I think maybe Yorgos succeeded. We all definitely came out of this with more questions than answers. Questions like, to what degree should partners have things in common? Would we find one another without chance or circumstance? How important is sight or appearance in finding a partner? Is love a singularly human emotion? Can't peacocks experience it too? Something I often try to get people to understand in film writing is the idea of a world. The ordinary world, as screenwriters often call it, is established extremely early on in pretty much any movie worth talking about. For many of us, when we hear the word dystopia, we immediately equate it with the future in some way. That's a fair assessment. In sci-fi writing, the future is often dystopian. I wonder where they're getting that from. The reason I bring this up is to make an important distinction. Yorgos, the writer-director, admits that to him, the film isn't necessarily set in a dystopian futuristic world.
Yeah, for me it's not necessarily near future or dystopian. What we try to do is make a world, come up with a world which is very familiar to us and it feels like now, but it just has different rules. I think it was important for the film to work that it felt really close to us.
The setting and premise is largely just an excuse to start asking those questions about romantic relationships. It's easy for us to say that it's a futuristic world, but the only sci-fi element I really found was the whole human-to-animal conversion therapy thing. Even in the future, that's a bit hard to believe. To me, it was more akin to something from fantasy, like Pinocchio, The Princess and the Frog, or 9 Lives starring Kevin Spacey.
Have you thought about what you want?
I want a cat.
Well, I don't think our building takes pets.
Wait a minute. I'm a cat!
That cat is so weird.
Gotta kill them with kindness.
The exact amount he has taken from us to silence his sexual abuse accusers. Part of the fun of the movie is the fantasy, and speculating as to the mechanics behind it. To quote John Sims, "I guess the dystopian state that they live under has psychologically scarred people or trained them how to act. Maybe there's chemicals in the food and the water that makes people all robotic and awkward. While these are solid questions about the world of the piece, Jurgis shies away from them in favor of more hard-hitting philosophical ones. The world is constructed in a way that you can reason away logical plot questions, just as John has theorized. The problem is that it doesn't always result in the best, most narratively sound film, which are much more entertaining. There's a lot of striking similarities between The Lobster and some of his other work, like The Killing of a Sacred Deer, and most prominently, The Favorite. It's super interesting to see a director with his own unique cinematic thumbprint. If you enjoyed this, I encourage you to watch one of those.
A lobster is an excellent choice.
Okay, first I want to take a minute and do a sincere, heartfelt thank you to really everyone watching this video. Over the past few weeks, you've all been flooding me with ideas, expanding our fellowship, and really just helping me out in every way imaginable. Some of you know I'm going through a bit of a rough time right now, even minus the virus, and all of you have been stepping up to the plate to lend me your support. This content would not work without your engagement. I love you all and thank you so much. On that note, this week I found a new rival and a jerk named Steve Spielberg. I encourage all of you to spread the word, get some friends involved, and like and subscribe. It really helps us in our efforts to beat Spielberg at his own game. It was awesome to see that so many of us got to enjoy the movie together on Rave. Unfortunately, it wasn't all of us. So I did some experimenting.
And he took my clothes off and f***ed me up the ass.
And Austin Mueller and I may have found a new way to stream content so that we don't need Rave or even a Netflix subscription at all. This week I'll do a little more experimenting to see if we can make the stream more stable. We sent out a poll for this week's movie last night, and the winner was... I'm gonna try to put the runner-up every week on the next ballot. There has been some more suspicious lobbying for Kindergarten Cop, and I'm starting to wonder if it's supported by a super PAC. The state of our politics is horrible. There's a link to our Discord in the bio. Let me know if you walked away with any profound insights about romance in the comments below. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, and hopefully, I'll see you next week.